Hello everyone,
Hi everyone.
we are back again. My name is Wahyu. I'm the founder of Digital Nomad Indonesia Association, and we are back in episode 2 for the DNI channel. So DNI, it stands for Digital Nomad Indonesia. So in these episodes, we are still with Ichi.
Hi.
Ichi is the founder of Tropical Nomad co-working space. So we would like to still continue what we have left before on our previous episode 1. And we're gonna talk more about some facts and numbers and potential that we can actually discuss together here in this beautiful co-working space called Tropical Nomad. So you guys, if you're in Bali, you should check this space. So Ichi, welcome back to the show, and this is episode 2, and thank you for being here.
Yeah, thank you very much, Wahyu. And it's an honor to host this show for Digital Nomad Indonesia at Tropical Nomad co-working space.
Thank you. We really appreciate your help for providing this space and facility for us to keep continuing inspiring the locals and the expats all together to be able to work on something good. So through this Digital Nomad Indonesia, we try to be the bridge between the local talents and also the remote workers coming from all over the world. Also, just for you to know, Indonesia has more than 17,000 islands. So Indonesia itself is a big country, and we have also many what's so-called local digital nomads coming from all over the place in Indonesia. To Bali, basically. Yeah. Speaking about Bali, by the way, so Ichi, tell me your perspective as someone who has been living in Bali for how long? You have been living in Bali?
Well, I've been living here for a while now, 11 years now.
11 years, wow. Yeah. And just for you to know, Ichi speaks very perfect, good Indonesian language. Bahasa Indonesia, we call it.
Still, it's okay.
He speaks very, very fluently, and yeah, he's been here for more than 10 years, 11 years now, yeah?
That's right.
So, can you tell us what was like before COVID, and what is it like now
Sure.
after COVID?
Yeah. So before COVID, Bali was really, we were just flooded with tourists. We had people coming from all over the world, mostly on the vacation, times such as the summertime in northern hemisphere, for example, people would just flock to Bali, and what we experienced was over tourism. So it was like traffic jam everywhere, just people everywhere, and it just like crazy scene, traffic jam everywhere. It's almost to the point that you really wonder, is this like how are we gonna even survive living in this island, because we're like bombarded with this so much people. And business was all about tourism. People were just getting a very good rentals for their vacation villas, Airbnb, hotels, restaurants, parties, the great beach beach clubs, and everything was all about entertainment.
Okay, tourism business. We can say that tourism business was doing so well before, yeah?
Absolutely. It was just crazy. I mean, it was just so phenomenal. Bali was really growing really, really fast. And so, certain areas of Bali where we stay is called Canggu. And this area growth has been enormous. It's just so much has changed in the last several years. And this is just it's just breathtaking how things are just developing so fast. After COVID.
Yeah. Let's talk about the reality now.
So the reality is that Bali was heavily reliant on the tourism industry, and most people lost their business, lost their income, lost their jobs. They had no social programs to really help them. It's a reality is that still very much dependent on individuals. So most people really struggle very hard with their income level dropping to maybe 1/3 or even less, or even none. And those people who doesn't have income, obviously they were stranded. Many of the local people in Bali or from other parts of Indonesia, what they did was that they went back to their kampung, their village, and then go back and stay there until they, weather off this situation and to rethink about their strategy. But there were also many foreigners who chose to stay or being stranded out of choice, and they had to also find the ends meet, which was not easy at all. So this is being really, really challenging. So everybody started to become rather creative. Those people who can pivot, they pivot. Those people didn't, they try to find, kind of very, very tough situation, but they try to find the solutions themselves.
Okay, so the reality is that Bali heavily relies on tourism sector, right? So
Correct,
if tourism industry collapse, then the economy would also collapse, right? That's what you're saying.
That's right.
And speaking about tourism now, do you think that it's the time for Bali or even for Indonesia to basically I would say to transform, maybe, yeah, that can be maybe better word, to transform as one of the most favorite or one of the best workation destination? Because I remember that when I asked many of my expat friends what brought you to Bali in the first place, it's the beauty, the nature, the people are very friendly, right? Like all this,
right, yeah.
all this, all about nature, all about people, community, and like with this kind of, I would say, the good things that Bali can offer or Indonesia can offer. So what do you think is now the best strategy to switch from heavily depending on tourism, where we try to attract as many tourists as we can, or we should become more specific towards targeting people who have talents, people who are, for example, digital nomad community that can work anywhere, so that they can also do knowledge transfer here. They can also, help the local business here. What do you see the future will come for this island?
So I think the tourism as we knew are dead, right? And what kind of people that we used to attract to Bali were people who were really looking for entertainment. Now, Bali needs not people who are looking for entertainment now, but people who will value add to the economy and build or rebuild back the economy together. I think that's what is different now. People need investments. People need new business partners. People exploring a lot of new opportunities. And that I see that is many people who have great ideas, coming to Bali. And why these people coming? I realize that that's because that Bali has such a wonderful, culture, people. It really shows that the smile of all Indonesian people is really beautiful. But not just that, but people are so welcoming. And one of the things I can say about Bali is that Bali is very forward-thinking, and they are very open, very inclusive to this society for people who are from outside. Whatever background you are, whatever religion you have, whatever race you are, Bali is I have to say, it's very, very inclusive and very tolerant, right? So people naturally, love to come here. And then now what we're seeing is that they're more slowly, as the border is still not very, clear about whether it's going to be always open or not, as we're having this, second, third waves of different kind of various mutations. But it's still, Bali, even during the COVID time, has attracted people who wants to do something creative. And Bali really needs that kind of people who are more entrepreneur, people who have a startup spirit, people creative, people who have access to funds that usually most people do not have. Yeah, so these are all very creative, talented, well-skilled people. Bali it's almost like a magnet, and we're seeing more and more talents like that. But still in small numbers. But I see that there is a huge potential here. That what we really feel is that as we see these people, that this place is so ripe, so ready for being a startup
hub. Yeah.
In this part of Asia, not from all the major big Asian cities, but in this island, it's something magical happening here.
Okay, that's interesting point. So, like from my perspective as an Indonesian startup founder or as a local person myself, I usually think that if you want to raise money, go to Jakarta, right? But I think that Jakarta has quite like unique scene. I should revise my language, my words. I think Bali has unique scene compared to Jakarta. Like, I think Jakarta is more like metropolitan city, like more like high-end companies or high-end startup, right? That got funded by venture capital and all these things, right?
Yes.
Like with big money, big numbers. But to me, Bali can also have that potential, and with more diverse community, because as we all know that Bali has been attracting people even during the COVID.
Yeah.
A lot of people who can work remotely, they decided to come to Bali to escape from their country that has locked down, and they continue to develop their startup here, right?
That's
to
right.
basically continue to developing their innovation, right?
That's right.
But the thing is that if we compare to Jakarta, maybe the startup scene, the talent pool in Jakarta is more matured. What do you think to make Bali as like more matured ecosystem that can compete with a place like Jakarta or Singapore or any other like big cities that host a lot of startups? What do you think that we can do either from the private sector or from the public sector, aka government? What can we do to collaborate to make Bali as the ideal startup hub?
I think yes, as you mentioned, Bali has such a potential to be an alternative startup hub. And what we really need right now is a lot of clarity in the government regulations regarding visas, regarding residential status, and the work status. That's the area that often there are many interpretations being made, and it is very difficult for us who even live in this island for a long time to advise people what is the best approach to take sometimes. And that's a huge dilemma for us, because we want to promote, but it is not easy to explain how it can be done easily. So I think we want to make it like more simpler, more clearer, and with somewhere that we could actually get a very clear advice, what is possible, what is not possible.
Okay.
That will help a lot, actually.
Yeah, I agree with you. Like for example, what I experienced, like if we compare between Bali and Jakarta is more like for corporate city. Like Bali is more like offering people lifestyle, right? Jakarta can offer like corporate jobs or big numbers, big money, and things like that. But maybe Jakarta cannot offer the lifestyle, while Bali can offer a lifestyle, and it's still quite affordable. And maybe for people who just started their startup, bootstrapping, and the reasons they choose Bali is because of the lifestyle, right?
That's right.
And how can we leverage this people, this community that are willing to relocate to Bali, and their goal is just to live a good life with a good lifestyle and still affordable, and how can we like consolidate this into one powerful big community? If we do not have clarity on regulation, right? So me as a again, I try to be, or we as organization, we try to be the bridge between the local companies, the local startups, the local talents, with the international talents, the international startup, the international community. So between locals and expats. That's our goal in our organization, Digital Nomad Indonesia. So what we have done is that previously we have submitted a proposal to the Indonesian government through Kemensegnet, Kementerian Sekretaris Negara, or what we call it states, national state secretary, to consider about issuing or creating new type of visa for this kind of community, for digital nomad community, right? And as we know, we just have a new minister, Pak Sandiaga Uno, from Ministry of Tourism and Creative Economy. So I really hope that, or we should say, we really hope that maybe one day we can meet Pak Sandi and to discuss about this potential idea that we can work together collaboratively to maybe discuss about the idea or make like a think tank group, how we can make Bali maybe as a special economic zone, or we call it KEK, Kawasan Ekonomi Khusus, so we can also attract, the most talented people or talents and the most innovative startups to come to this island, and also to do knowledge transfer, to teach locals, to involve locals as part of the business, either as partners or being hired as a talents. So in your opinion as expats here, my question will be, how do you see if only we can have, such kind of like digital nomad visa, which we can work together collaboratively in an international scale? How can you see this as potential for Bali and moreover for Indonesia?
I think it's really, this is a win-win for everybody. And right now in the many parts of the world, business environment isn't so very, really great, to be honest. And a lot of people are still have a lot of restrictions, restraint, and also, raising funds and access to capital isn't as it's not back to normal yet. So Bali offers such a great opportunity to really, base out of here, having access to relatively free economy. I have to say the local economy is amazing for us, from an expat's point of view, super resilient, right? People are still energetic. People, despite challenges, they are still trying to be active in terms of economy and trying to keep this economy going. So it is a lot of benefits for also people like expats like us, thinking about new business ideas. People who might be from a startup background wanting to really, access this growing domestic market. As Indonesia is really growing in a still very good numbers.
260 million plus people.
Yeah, and the GDP growth is forecasted as right now, still I think it's a fairly healthy level. It's going to be a win-win because at the end that we are able to also tap into this domestic market, and also at the same time looking into, of course, doing the same kind of business in the international market. Right, so it is absolutely essential that we are looking at working in this time zone, of this where we are about the same time zone as most of the major Asian cities, from Tokyo, Seoul to Beijing to Taiwan to Singapore to all this Southeast Asia time zone, and this is a huge market here, right? So it is really it is essential that we are actually starting to look into this, and it is so much employment, so much, domestic economic benefits that we can actually have by additional foreign investments coming into the country in Bali as a gateway, and bringing that whole business and whole investment into the rest of Indonesia, that is going to really help both ways. Yeah.
If we were to give examples, do you know what countries that have been trying or that have implemented this sort of like digital nomad visa, or if they name it in different name like remote workers visa or self-employment visa, whatever it is? Like, do you know like what countries that have had this type of visa so far?
I think it's there are a few countries and that it comes to my mind. It's like yes, Estonia comes to mind as well, Barbados, Mexico, and there are a few that is being like still not very it's like Dubai and Singapore, and they do have some sort of program, but it's like extremely high requirements to get into. So I think it's still in many countries this is like still try and error. I think they are trying to see whether they could actually find the balance and trying to attract the right talents. So I think it's Indonesia. This is a good time to also for the country to really investigate this opportunity, and then to try to promote it as a new tourism strategy, and also a new way to attract the creative talents into Indonesia to help local creative talents to be also having more opportunities in the international world. You see, because that we could also export, like a lot of services, export meaning to say that this is all done online, of course, but we could actually promote more employments because there are no new startups coming into Indonesia, right? And then the startups usually will hire, many creative people, from videographer, graphic designers, web designers to, all the IT skill sets as well. I mean, there's so much employment that could actually be generated by having startups based out of here, right?
If we look at the example of Silicon Valley, correct me if I'm wrong. You used to live in the US, right?
Yeah, I have experience living there. Yes.
Yeah, as far as I know, like what makes Silicon Valley is because they keep attracting talented people coming from all over the world, right? And hence they enhance the innovation, right?
That's right.
When we have the most like innovative people, the smartest brains, and we attract them to come to our place, our island, our city, our country, it can help us more innovative. It can help us to innovate and to collaborate with people to understand about what we can do better, right? To trying to solve problems, right? Trying to be more competitive, but in a good sense, in a good way.
Yes.
Do you think Bali can be like Silicon Valley Island kind of thing? Do you think that because of so many people, they try to come to Bali and not looking for work, but actually they come to Bali to find or to live a good lifestyle, or to have the good lifestyle, right? To basically be with the nature, to be able to surf, to be able to eat some vegan foods, or to meet incredible community on this island. So do you think Bali has the potential to be the next Silicon Valley?
I would say yes, and I think there will be Silicon Valley will no longer be like what it used to be. People were there to also. The reason was that because of the access, ability to access to the funds, ability to access those capitals, venture capitals, and all that. They're all kind of like were there. So now with COVID, what has happened is that nobody's meeting anybody now in the US. Everything is done by Zoom, by all the virtual meetings, and everything is done remotely. So in other words, it's time that all the places where they were very high in startup spirits, now they can be even remotely distributed. like such as we respect also like places like Finland. They have a great startup culture, right? Estonia, obviously Singapore, China, like Hong Kong and Shenzhen was also very respected in that regards. But now I think what's important is that whether you are in a location where you could actually balance your lifestyle and the cost of living, and also still be in the right time zone to be able to access to all these people. So I think Asia is great location because this is a growth engine for the future. So being in this time zone, and of course it's sometimes very hard to have a Zoom call in the middle of the night with a US time zone, but I think things are changing, and the thing is that there are more and more people trying to be located in Asia and being closer to the market, and then still doing fundraising, still accessing the talking to the right kind of people in the different time zones. And I see that all the time. Like our Tropical Nomad is a co-working space that's 24 hours operation, and people can come in anytime to take advantage of, say, a Skype room or meeting rooms to do a Zoom calls, 24 hours. So it is, the facilities available if you really need to do that. And I think it's right now is that the Bali is starting to have great human capitals. It's also attracting talents from Indonesia, within Indonesia as well. It's probably lacking right now is just that legal framework and the residency requirements, these things to attract talented people to really start doing something. That's, I think, it's the only thing that's really right now is lacking. We have a great hospitals now, which is amazing. There were times like there were not much great hospitals, but now it's different, right? So healthcare we have, great entertainment we have, restaurant scenes, cuisine choices, like you mentioned, vegan. This is like a vegan capital, everywhere
vegan
you go,
capital.
Like,
watch out, vegan. Bali is the vegan capital.
Yeah. And there's so much choice of cuisine, right? And then the living cost is so affordable. Right now you can really find great places at less than $500 a month, and then you can live in villas that's like have a swimming pool and everything. And where else can you actually have that kind of lifestyle?
Yeah, that all makes sense. You have raised quite like few important points that I want to talk about more. So first, like, speaking about startup culture, right? Obviously, like island life is kind of like hard to keep the balance between productivity and also the lifestyle, right? We I think we are blessed here, but also we have been spoiled here, right? Yeah. We are blessed. On the other hand, we are spoiled here, living closely with the nature, right? True. But another point that you have just mentioned is that access to fund, and then the regulation, right?
Yes.
So let's talk about one by one. Let's talk about it all one by one. So first, to basically have a good startup culture, do you think Bali has already good foundation to create a good startup culture? Okay, we don't have to talk about Silicon Valley. It's another country, another continent, and it's too far. How can we make Bali to have like a good startup culture, at least like Jakarta? Because like as we know that Indonesia also has produced a lot of unicorns, like quite some unicorns, and one of the first decacorn in Asia, right? In Southeast Asia, as you know, all Gojek, and now the founder of Gojek is our Minister of Education. So how can we make Bali as competitive as Jakarta when it comes to startup culture? As you know that Bali has different lifestyle than Jakarta. Because Jakarta, everything is quite like fast, and very competitive.
Yeah, that's right, yeah.
Bali is like relax, chill. What do you think we can do to basically install that startup culture, the good side of it, like the good sense of having a startup culture, to basically boost the economy here?
I think it's well, Bali has few advantages already, like traffic jam. In terms of traffic jam in Jakarta is comparable to traffic jam in Bali. So I mean, these kind of transportations and living that's great. But I think it's what we can do in Bali is that how can we actually make it even more friendlier to attract the talents from Jakarta. One is that obviously the working condition. I think the minimum wage in Bali is very well kept at the low level, and that's probably too low for some of the best talents in this country.
Okay.
Right? Yeah. So I think that's some of the issues that fundamental social issues that the government, if they could do more for local people to increase the level of education and also increase their salary levels so that it will be kind of balanced out and that it becomes attractive, yet it's not really sacrificing the talents, lifestyle in Bali. That's, I think, is one thing. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Well, the other one is probably it's just that the amount of foreign companies that are, where the local Indonesian headquarters are always located in Jakarta, and I think that's there is a reason for that. But I think it's if the Indonesia could be a little bit more decentralized and have some of the functionalities not all centralized into Jakarta, but distributed to different parts of the country to minimize potential disasters and also risk mitigation from disasters, and also to benefit from the lower wages in the remote parts of Indonesia. That could actually also help local economies in outside of Jakarta, and that means that we can have those talented people not just going to Jakarta and work, but living and coming and enjoying this work-life balance in a place like Bali.
Me, if I'm allowed to share my personal experience, so me as a local person, as Indonesian, my strategy is like I try to find investors in Jakarta. Like I try to find investment or access to fund, as you just mentioned, because the reality is that access to fund is mostly still in big city. Yeah,
that's right.
So how can we access this fund or this investment opportunity in big city like Jakarta? But like we run our team, we basically execute our first MVP, minimum viable product development in Bali. So this is what I have been trying to do. So I think if we can create a good startup culture, I think many investors or VCs, especially like local VCs from Jakarta, I think in my opinion, they will allow the startup founders to work from Bali, because if Bali has a good startup culture, right? The reason is that why most of these venture capital or these angel investors want the initial development of the products of the startup to be developed in Jakarta or to be headquartered in Jakarta is because that they have lack of trust if we develop the product from Bali, right? Because you may like go to the beach, you may not be productive, right? While in Jakarta, like it's different scene,
Office, office, and
office,
corporate lifestyle.
So I think if we can, make this kind of like big movement, national movement, or it doesn't have to be movement, if we can like make like good community, solid community of startups, right? And to be able to also create the startup environment, the startup culture that has the good side of the productivity. Let's say if we take the good side of corporate not corporate, like the good side of work ethic from the Jakarta corporate culture, and bring it to Bali, but in different way or different style, where still we can keep the island style, but also how can we also keep being productive here? Do you think it's possible to achieve this kind of balance between being productive at the same time also enjoying the lifestyle in Bali?
Yes, I think so. I think it's the question is the professionalism, and I see that the younger people are more and more they want to have successful corporate life. They want to be able to, have a lot of experience traveling, enjoying their life, and it's all about work-life balance, right? Yeah. So I think that it is that we have to inspire, the young people that there are choices, and you can actually do that. But it's also depends on our attitude as well. So if we want it, there will be opportunity, and then that's kind of opportunity that we have to create as a business owners or people promoting Bali, promoting as a startup hub. We have to provide that so that they can actually get the dream job, and not in Jakarta but in Bali. So I think that's something that we can work together with the government and the private sector, and then try to promote Bali as an alternative startup hub. Yeah,
I agree with that. I think now our homework is how to enhance the PPP, private-public partnership, where we can work together with private sectors and to basically convince the investors, either like whether the investors coming from Jakarta within Indonesia or the investors from international world, like from other countries, how can they trust us working from Bali, right?
Yes.
And how to convince them and show them that we can be trusted by actually showing them that Bali has good startup community or good startup culture, right? I think this is one of the first step to convince them, because if we do not have startup culture here, if we do not have good working culture here, then they may be skeptical, right? Like Bali is well known as a tourism destination. That's why this is also, I think, a good point to be raised, because like if we can switch the Bali branding from being well known as cheap tourist destination or as like romantic tourist destination, how can we, doesn't have to be switched, but how can we add on top of that,
that's right,
to be as like the alternative startup hub.
Yes.
Right.
Yes.
And
Absolutely.
speaking about access to fund, well, if you are in Indonesia, you can fly domestically to Jakarta easily. The flight is cheap. You can always pitch in front of investors in Jakarta and come back to Bali, right?
That's right, yeah.
And then basically develop your team here and make your MVP here, and maybe later on you can relocate to Jakarta or open the second office in Jakarta.
Absolutely.
That can also work, right?
Yes, that's right. Yeah.
And now I think the third point that I just mentioned. So first, startup culture. Second, the access to fund. Third, what about the regulation? This is quite interesting. So, of course, as a local, I don't have the perspective of the foreigners or the expats that also, I believe that we all have good intention. And I believe that some expats like yourself who have been living here for so long have a good intention to basically contribute and to give back to the community, right? But sometimes there are some obstacles that hold you back, and that can be regulation.
Yes.
Correct?
That's
So
correct, yes.
what is your hope for Indonesian government? What sort of like ideal regulation that can also be win-win for the foreigners and the locals alike, in terms of especially the economy collaboration?
I think there are so many people with good intentions, and that's because that obviously in Bali we have been blessed, to be able to live here and do what we do. this is a great place. One of the amazing, part of Indonesia that is very tolerant, open, and inclusive, right? So there are a lot of people who have dreams to do something here. Either they want to do, volunteer their time and skills to help certain communities, or they want to really help on education of the underprivileged, or providing even higher education for the young talents, for example. There's so many people who really want to do, give back to the society, and we see that more and more during the COVID time. Now, if it is more easier for us to do more, not to make just business and economic activity, but also to help in social activities and the investing back into human capitals by education, I think that will really help us to also contribute more. You see, right now, under the interpretation of the immigration department, there's no volunteers allowed, and that's a little bit, I think that's really Indonesia is missing out by not allowing people to be able to voluntarily do things, right? So it's all up to interpretations, but these are the things that simple, yet it actually becomes a very big obstacle for us, the expats, the visitors, to positively, work closely together with the local community, and to, so that you also give us a lot of opportunity for us to learn about Indonesia. So that's one of the things that I hope that there will be more clarity and more tolerance on volunteering, and so that's probably one of my things that can come up to my mind right now.
Yeah, in terms of economic collaboration, social activities, and all these volunteering activities that you just mentioned, it's very sad that if we do not have clear regulation on this, I feel like, as you nail it correctly, like we are missing out, right? We are missing out the opportunity of having very good strategic economic collaboration, or social collaboration for uplifting people's life socially and economically. But because of the unclear regulation and like all this, crackdown from let's say the immigration or the authorities, we hope that one day, if government is watching, they can create like good, clear regulation that can allow us to work together on something good, not only for economic benefit but also for society. That's our first motivation to basically write digital nomad visa proposal to the government, and we submit it directly to state secretariat ministry. We call it Kemensegnet. But then I think I hope that we can also get in touch with Pak New Menteri, Bapak Sandiaga Uno, Minister of Creative Economy and Tourism, or Kemenparepar, Kementerian Ekonomi Pariwisata, Kementerian Ekonomi Kreatif dan Pariwisata. We would like to, have this think tank and discussion about how can we, create a formula that will serve both communities, local and international community, that can also have win-win situation, right? Because if we are closing ourselves to be close society, close community, locals are doing their own thing, expats doing their own thing, it's not gonna bring or boost the economy. But right now, especially because of the COVID, we need more collaboration. So what is your best, if you were asked to give like advice or opinion, what is your wish or your best advice to us or your suggestion to the government, let's say, to make this smooth legal collaboration put in a place?
Yes, I think let's start with the trying to have a visa for digital nomad visa and a remote work visa. So I think that's is a definitely immediate needs for the world to look for a place that they think that it gives the best the balance in terms of lifestyle. And I think that's the great opportunity. So I think that's something that we should really this is the moment to actually propose something innovative like this and try to profit from this. You say it's not going to be if it's drafted properly, like what you have done, with a proposal to the government. I think this is going to be a huge, revenue source for the government as well as for the economic inputs and potentially opening doors to the further foreign investments. And so this is something that we should do. Yes.
What if government say that, we are concerned about foreigners taking over the local jobs? What do you say about it?
I think it's you should have a proper rules and regulations, and other countries also are having a proper regulations around this as well. So some of the countries have a basic income requirements, some of them require certain savings, and they prove to show that you actually can have a decent life in your host country. But I think it's what we often forget is that when you actually allow somebody to migrate into country, that person's economic activity generates more, it gives more money to the local economy. So that's one thing that, we should allow positive and meaningful, skilled, talented people to come to Indonesia to hire more talented Indonesians. That is going to be the best win-win solutions.
Yeah. Or to partner up with local business.
Absolutely.
People, like
correct.
Local
yes.
startups, local SMEs, small medium enterprise, right?
That's right. Yeah. I think there's more and more talents, like you mentioned, that Indonesia has so much talents, but it's not being discovered. So if there is a way to promote more joint business, in a certain categories, especially in the creative economic field, where IT and technology is concerned, I think Indonesia has so much potential. Let's get those talented people. Don't let them go to China or other countries. But hey, let's attract them to Indonesia, because this Indonesia is going to be a very big market in the future, in the very near future. So this is time to really, really promote. Yeah.
So for you guys who want to support us to continue our proposal or to continue what we have been doing to basically try to approach government about creating remote workers or digital nomad visa. Later on, we'll provide you with the link, or on our YouTube channel, we give you the link below to sign the petition and just also keep by the way you support us is also by subscribing our channel, share our video and like our video, and hopefully that by keeping doing this, we would like to raise more awareness, and hopefully our voice will be heard by government, right? By the right person in the government. So we would like to actually, our ultimate goal is to just have like a win-win, right? Win-win.
That's right.
How to boost local economy, how to also get access to fund, right? To the capital. How we can also have knowledge transfer or knowledge sharing, right? How can we also develop our world together and work together on something good, innovation for the betterment of humanity, for a better world, right? So
That's right, yeah.
instead of like working alone, why don't we like work together collaboratively and work together regardless of your race, your nationality, your religion. We just like as human being coming together and working on something good together.
Yes, let's join forces.
Yeah, let's join
Yes.
forces. And I think Bali is also well known as a spiritual island, so it can be good if like these noble causes can be started from Bali. And also Indonesia is a big country that has more than 17,000 islands. So basically, if Bali is the gate, it can be also the eye opening, the beginning of people knowing Indonesia and discovering other islands in this country.
That's right.
So I think I would like to close this second episode by saying that I think it's the best time now to collaborate. It's the best time now to basically work together for innovation. And instead of just waiting for something to happen, we start something from where we are with what we have now, and by doing what we can do. For example, by starting this podcast, right?
Absolutely, yeah.
And I think I would like to ask last question before we close the second episode. What is your best why? If you have the why you are living in Bali, what is your why you choose to live in Bali? And you also mentioned, and this is quite personal, I know, you wanna be warga negara Indonesia, you wanna be Indonesian citizen, right? Why do you decide to want to be Indonesian citizen in the first place?
It's all because I feel that I've been robbed of opportunity to be able to value add more. See, there's so many, all the things I just mentioned earlier about the frustrations or challenges that as a foreigner living in Indonesia applies to all foreigners. And then we love Indonesia, and then we want to contribute more. And that's why we feel that, this is time that maybe I should take up nationality if Indonesia grants me, so that we can do more and so that we can actually feel like we're part of family. But if it's possible to even make it more, for other people who's not been living here like over 10 years, to be able to even make them feel even a little bit like that, I think that's going to be a huge win for Indonesia. So I just hope that's, my why is because that I feel that I can contribute more. So please, if you can, give more opportunities for foreigners to be able to feel that Indonesia is a home and so that they can contribute positively.
Yeah, and I think that's it for the episode 2. So guys, keep watching our podcast, our video, our episodes. So every week we try to record this kind of casual discussion about different topics, but at this time we specifically focus on discussing about the legal issues that has been faced by digital nomads, or basically how can we do more collaborations locally and internationally, legally too, right?
That's right.
So this is how we try to raise awareness. So hopefully you guys can join us as one big force together to be able to make good things happen. Okay, thank you, and stay tuned for the next video, and see you in the next video. Bye bye.
Thank you.